20 minutes ago, you finished dinner. You are full. You know you are full. And yet, here you are, standing in the kitchen, opening a bag of chips you promised yourself you would not touch tonight. The bag crinkles in your hand. Some part of you already knows exactly how this ends. You are not hungry. So what is actually happening in your brain right now? Here is the strange part. You are not weak and you are not broken. You are running a survival program that is roughly 200,000 years old, built for a world that no longer exists. Picture an early human walking through a forest one afternoon. She finds a wild fig tree loaded with ripe fruit, sweeter than anything she has tasted in weeks. She does not eat one piece and casually walk away. She eats as much as her stomach can hold. That is not greed. That is survival math. In her world, food showed up unpredictably. Tomorrow could bring nothing. A failed hunt, an empty riverbank, weeks with barely enough to get by on. So her brain rewarded her, powerfully, for eating every calorie-dense bite in front of her right now. Fat and sugar were rare treasures back then. That is simply what we humans are built to do when rich food appears rarely and randomly. Rare things that keep a body alive get flagged by the brain as urgent, non-negotiable, worth stopping everything else for. That flag is still active inside you, right now, in a kitchen where food never runs out. Neuroscientist Kent Berridge at the University of Michigan spent decades mapping exactly how this system works. He discovered that your brain treats wanting food and liking food as two separate processes. Wanting is the pull, the craving, the restless feeling that says you need this right now. Liking is the actual pleasure once the food hits your mouth. Berridge's research showed these two systems can split apart completely. You can want something with real intensity and barely enjoy it once you are eating it. That gap between wanting and liking is where a huge amount of mindless snacking quietly happens. It explains a lot about those late-night trips back to the kitchen. So why does the wanting get so loud in the first place? Because your environment looks nothing like the one this system evolved inside. Ripe fruit was rare. Honey was rare. Fat from a freshly hunted animal was rare. In a hunter-gatherer's entire lifetime, a find that rich might happen only a handful of times. In your kitchen, it happens every single day. Now sugar, fat, and salt sit together in a bright bag on a shelf, available at any hour in unlimited supply, combined in ratios that almost never occur together in nature. Food scientists have a name for this: the bliss point. It is not an accident. Modern snack foods are engineered, tested, and adjusted again and again until they land on the exact ratio of sugar, fat, and salt that makes your brain's reward system fire as hard as physically possible. How is any 200,000-year-old wiring supposed to compete with that? This is not conspiracy thinking. Real teams of food scientists and sensory panels spend months chasing the exact bite that makes you reach for another handful before you have even swallowed the first. Nature never produced anything this concentrated. Your ancient wiring has no built-in defense because it was never designed to face it. Neuroscientist Nora Volkow, director of the National Institute on Drug Abuse, has used brain imaging to study what happens when people are simply shown pictures of hyperpalatable food. In some people, the dopamine response looks strikingly close to what researchers observe in substance addiction. Your reward circuit does not fully separate a drug from a chip engineered to press the exact same buttons. This was never a story about weak willpower. Rewind further, to 1944. Physiologist Ansel Keys ran what became known as the Minnesota Starvation experiment. He took a group of healthy, psychologically stable men and cut their food intake for 6 months, simulating the conditions of famine. What happened to their minds was remarkable. These were not people with any history of disordered eating. Yet, as their bodies went hungry, food quietly took over their thoughts. Some lost interest in almost everything else: friendships, hobbies, ordinary conversation, while food quietly filled every corner of their attention. They dreamed about meals. They collected recipes they had no way to cook. They lingered over dinner for hours, rearranging food on the plate just to make it last longer. Sound familiar? Keyes's experiment revealed something important. An obsession with food is not a personality flaw. It is simply what a human brain does under scarcity, whether that scarcity is real or only perceived. And here is the twist worth sitting with. Many people today, cycling through restrictive diets and guilt, are quietly recreating those exact same scarcity signals, then wondering why cravings hit harder than ever before. There is one more piece to this story, and it reaches back even further than any fridge. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham has argued that cooking itself reshaped the human brain. Once early humans started cooking their food, they unlocked far more usable calories from the same ingredients than raw eating ever allowed. Wrangham's research suggests this sudden calorie surplus helped fuel the growth of a bigger, far more energy-hungry brain. Without that shift, the brain you are using to follow this exact sentence might never have existed at all. In other words, the pull toward concentrated, easy-to-digest calories is not some minor glitch. It may be one of the exact forces that built the human brain in the first place. So the craving you feel standing in front of an open fridge is not new. It is ancient. In a strange way, it helped build you. Think about how much of an average day quietly revolves around this pull. The candy bowl at the office that somehow calls your name every time you walk past. The checkout line stocked with chocolate at exactly eye level. The late-night scroll that somehow always ends at the snack cupboard. The way one stressful email can send you straight towards something sweet without you consciously deciding to go there at all. Why does it always seem to hit hardest at night when you are tired and your guard is finally down? None of that is a character flaw. It is a 200,000-year-old alarm system, mismatched against a world of convenience stores and drive-thrus open at 2 in the morning. You are not uniquely undisciplined. You are exactly as human as everyone standing in a kitchen somewhere else, right now, doing the very same thing. But understanding the wiring does not mean you are stuck with it forever. So what actually helps? The people who struggle least with cravings are rarely the ones with the most raw willpower. They are usually the ones who quietly change their environment instead of trying to outmuscle their own biology. Keeping trigger foods out of easy reach. Eating enough earlier in the day, so real scarcity signals never get a chance to switch on. Putting fruit in a bowl on the counter and pushing the cookies to the back of a high shelf. Small changes like these quietly shift the odds in your favor, long before willpower ever has to show up. Choosing where and when a craving gets to compete, instead of meeting it at its most powerful moment, which is almost always late at night, tired, standing right in front of an open fridge. Your brain is not trying to sabotage you. It is trying to protect you, using instructions written for a world that had almost none of today's abundance. So the next time you find yourself back at that fridge, 20 minutes after dinner, staring at something you already decided not to eat, remember what is actually happening in that moment. That is not weakness standing in your kitchen. That is 200,000 years of survival wiring, meeting a bag of chips it was never, ever built to resist.